Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the walk. Today is Tuesday, January 14th, and we are in Ezekiel 31. We're up to verse 4. We already started talking about the fact that Egypt is being drawn with a parallel with Assyria, because 20 years before Ezekiel got this prophecy, Assyria had been very abundant and was destroyed. And Ezekiel is prophesying that the same thing is going to happen to Egypt. That brings us to verse 4, which says, and it's talking about Assyria here. It says that in verse 3, it said that Assyria was a cedar in Lebanon, which represented majesty. It was just very prosperous. Continuing to talk about Assyria here. The waters nourished it, and the deep made it grow tall, making its rivers flow around the place of its planting, sending forth its streams to all the trees of the field. So it towered high above all the trees of the field. Its boughs grew large and its branches long, from abundant water in its shoots. All the birds of the heavens made their nests in its boughs. Under its branches all the beasts of the field gave birth to their young. Under its shadow lived all the nations. It was beautiful in its greatness, in the length of its branches, and for its roots went down to abundant waters. The cedars in the garden of God could not rival it, nor the fir trees equal its boughs. Neither were the plane trees like its branches. No tree in the garden was equal in its beauty. So, it says no tree in the garden of God was equal in its beauty. Okay, that note about garden of God, that immediately made me think of the Garden of Eden. And so I got curious about that. I started digging, and of course the Cultural Study Bible once again came to my rescue. And in the Cultural Study Bible, the note said, identified as Eden here, however, it is not invoking the image of a utopian home that humans had been driven out of. Unlike the paradise motif in the Bible, the Mesopotamian Garden of the Gods was not a paradise that humans had occupied and then lost, but it was the beautiful protected property of the gods that humans trespassed at their peril. Such was the cedar forest of Gilgamesh and his companion Enkidu, and gained access to when they defeated the divinely appointed guardian of the forest, Huwawa. These gardens, like the royal gardens of the period, were wooded parks featuring beautiful and exotic trees. The description is also appropriate for the biblical Eden. So basically, it's not saying that that Assyria was in the Garden of Eden. That's not what it's saying at all. What it's saying here is that Assyrians' beauty is being compared to the beauty of the Garden of Eden, which is an exaggeration. Of course, it's not as beautiful as what they had in the Garden of Eden, but the whole point of this part of the chapter is to illustrate how abundant Egypt was in being compared to Assyria, who at this point in the chapter is being compared to this beautiful, beautiful cedar tree. Verse 9, I made it beautiful in the mass of its branches, and all the trees of Eden envied it. They were in the garden of God. Therefore, thus says the Lord God, because it towered high and set its top among the clouds, and its heart was proud of height. Notice that there's a heart problem. I will give it into the hand of the mighty one of the nations. He shall surely deal with it as its wickedness deserves. I have cast it out. So this wickedness as it deserves. There was a note in the Fire Study Bible which says, God's judgments do not happen by chance. There are always a direct result of the wickedness of individuals and nations. At the present time, God chooses to withhold his final judgment to offer forgiveness to all who turn to him with faith in his Son, Jesus Christ. But one day, God will release his judgment against the world. So we've got to be aware that God does not tolerate sin, and pride is a sin. I've been saying it day after day after day, because these chapters keep pointing out the importance of not letting your pride become your God. Your ability to do well comes from God. Your ability to work comes from God. Your ability to care for your family and have friends and have a home and all those things, all of that comes from God, and we need to give him that glory. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.